Look at wild animals, and birth seems absurdly easy. A horse plops a foal on the grass and just moves on. Even a massive blue whale delivers a sea giant underwater easily. But then you look at humans. For us, birth has always been painful, terrifying, and dangerous. Before modern hospitals, it was the most dangerous thing a person could do. So, how did ancient humans survive this biological nightmare? To understand this mess, we must blame our distant ancestors. First, early humans decided to walk on two legs. Bipedalism was great for running and spotting predators early. But standing upright completely reshaped the human pelvis. It squeezed our birth canal into a narrow, twisted S-curve. That was problem number one. Problem number two was our rapidly exploding brain size. Human heads grew massively to hold all those extra brain cells. Nature created a hilarious biological disaster. A giant baby head had to squeeze through a tiny bone ring. If an engineer designed this delivery system, you'd fire them instantly. Other primates have wide, straight birth canals. A baby chimpanzee glides out like a playground slide. Human babies must perform complex gymnastics just to exit. The baby turns, tucks its chin, squeezes, and twists its shoulders. It's basically an escape room inside the mother's body. To make matters worse, human babies are born totally helpless. Baby giraffes stand up and run 20 minutes after birth. Human babies are just crying potatoes for 6 months. Why? Staying longer in the womb meant their heads wouldn't fit. So evolution made a compromise. Born early, helpless, but small enough. Well, small enough is a very relative term. It was still an absolute agonizing ordeal for ancient women. How did prehistoric humans handle labor without modern medicine? Simple. They invented the world's very first medical profession. Welcome to the birth of midwifery. Most animals isolate themselves to give birth completely alone. If a cave woman tried that, disaster was almost guaranteed. Human babies emerge facing backward, making solo births nearly impossible. Humans literally evolved to require help during birth. Enter the experienced older women of the tribe. They witnessed dozens of births and knew what to do. They became the very first medical specialists in history. A Stone Age birth room wasn't a sterile hospital. It was a warm cave with fire, furs, and chanting. Gravity was their ultimate best friend. Ancient women almost never gave birth flat on their backs. Lying down actually narrows the pelvic opening by 30%. Instead, mothers squatted, knelt, or held suspended ropes. Squatting opens the pelvis wide and lets gravity help. Some tribes built specialized birthing stools with horseshoe cutouts. These chairs were so effective, we used them for millenniums. In ancient Mesopotamia, birth was watched by the goddess Nintu. Mothers squatted on two special sacred mud bricks. One brick represented life, the other represented destiny. Landing safely on those bricks meant a blessed baby. While ancient posture was great, their medical knowledge was chaotic. Without germ theory, nobody washed their hands. Infection killed countless mothers simply due to dirty hands. To manage pain, ancient cultures tried everything imaginable. Ancient Egyptians drank beer mixed with celery and saffron. Did it relieve pain? Probably not, but beer helps. Egyptians also created the oldest recorded pregnancy tests. A woman peed on two bags, barley and wheat. If barley sprouted first, it meant a boy. If wheat sprouted first, it meant a girl. If neither sprouted, she wasn't pregnant at all. Modern scientists actually tested this method in the 1960s. It turned out to be 70% accurate. High estrogen levels in urine really stimulated seed growth. The gender prediction was useless, but the test actually worked. Meanwhile, in ancient Greece, things got truly bizarre. Hippocrates had great ideas, but birth wasn't his strength. He believed hungry babies kicked their own way out like chicks. If labor took long, doctors thought the baby was lazy. Their wild solution was a technique called succussion. They literally tied the pregnant woman to a bed frame. Then assistants lifted and shook the bed violently. They tried shaking the baby out like a coin from a piggy bank. Unsurprisingly, shaking a woman in labor was horrifyingly dangerous. The Greeks also relied heavily on spiritual protection. Mothers held amulets of Artemis and prayed for speed. Survivors dedicated their blood-stained clothes at her temple. In ancient Rome, childbirth was a full battle for survival. Life expectancy was low, and birth was the top killer of women. Romans relied on spells, herbal poultices, and strange rituals. Pliny the Elder claimed a hyena's foot placed left caused easy birth, but placing it on the right meant instant death. Roman medical advice was basically a game of Russian roulette. What happened when labor stalled completely? Before surgery, obstructed labor was usually a death sentence. What about the famous cesarean section? Myth says Julius Caesar was born via C-section. But that is almost certainly fake news. In Rome, C-sections were only done on dead or dying mothers. Law required removing the baby before burying the mother. Caesar's mother lived for decades after his birth. So unless they had futuristic technology, Caesar was born normally. The first survived dual C-section happened around the year 1500. A Swiss pig gelder operated on his wife after 13 midwives failed. Miraculously, she survived and had 5 more kids later. For most of history, stuck babies forced terrifying choices. In medieval Europe, birth became a religious battlefield. Labor pain was seen as divine punishment for Eve's sin. Relieving a woman's pain was sometimes viewed as defying God. Midwives needed church licenses mainly to prevent witchcraft. A midwife's main emergency job was immediate infant baptism. They even built special syringes to squirt holy water inside. In the 17th century, men finally entered the birthing room. Enter the man midwives, or early doctors. They brought a massive secret invention: forceps. Forceps were invented by the London-based Chamberlain family. They kept this tool a top-secret family weapon for a century. Doctors arrived at noble houses in sealed, dark carriages. They carried a giant, heavy gilded box inside. Everyone left the room, and the mother was blindfolded. Nobody was allowed to see their magical secret tool. Behind closed doors, metal spoons clamped the baby's head to pull. It worked. They saved thousands of lives. The Chamberlains became insanely rich and famous. In the 18th century, the secret leaked worldwide. But male doctors also caused a massive step backward. They forced women to give birth flat on their backs. Why? It was just easier for the doctor to watch. King Louis XIV of France loved watching his wives give birth. He ordered raised tables so he got a clear view. A king's weird preference created centuries of bad birthing posture. Flat posture plus dirty hands made 18th century hospitals death traps. Up to 20% of hospital mothers died of infections. A dirty mud hut was actually safer than a 1700s hospital. In 1840, Ignaz Semmelweis proved hand-washing with chlorine saved lives. Naturally, arrogant doctors mocked him and refused to wash hands. A classic human history moment right there. Then came the 19th century revolution. Real pain relief. In 1847, James Young Simpson introduced chloroform. Critics complained again, calling pain natural and necessary. But Queen Victoria used chloroform during her 1853 delivery. She called the gas soothing, quiet, and delightful. Once the Queen approved, pain relief became globally fashionable. So let's recap this wild evolutionary journey. We stood up on 2 legs to look cool and hunt better. Our hips shrank, heads exploded, and birth became a puzzle. We made delivery a team sport with midwives and birthing stools. We tried celery-beer, shaking beds, and hyena feet. We hid giant metal spoons in golden chests for decades, and we laid flat on beds just for a French king. Today, modern medicine transformed birth into a safe routine. Antibiotics, sterile rooms, and safe C-sections saved millions. Modern medicine combines ancient posture wisdom with high tech. Many hospitals are even bringing back birthing stools today. Turns out Stone Age ancestors were right about gravity all along. You are the result of an unbroken chain of human mothers. Mothers who survived caves, mud bricks, plagues, and dirty doctors. You exist because thousands of women conquered the ultimate test. Next time you see a baby, appreciate the evolutionary madness. Nature chose the hardest path, but somehow we survived. Humans literally evolved to help each other from day one. Cooperation isn't just nice, it's encoded in our DNA. Without teamwork, our species would have ended in a cave. Not bad for a species that started out shaking beds. Would you try Egyptian celery beer? or Greek bed shaking? What absurd historical topic should we animate next? Let us know your choice in the comments below. Seriously, wash your hands. Dr. Semmelweis would be proud. Stay curious, stay human, and take care. Every single birth in history led right up to this moment. Thanks for diving into history with us today. Until next time, keep exploring the past. Bye. If you enjoyed this animated history breakdown, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for more videos.